British troops accused of heinous acts against Kenyan women. You ready for the details on this? Over several decades, British troops have been accused of fathering numerous children through the sexual violation of Kenyan women during training stints in the East African country. Recent CNN report highlighted the ongoing birth of mixed-race children in rural central Kenya near the British Army Training Unit, BATUK, north of Nairobi. And mixed-race infants are still being born in the area. Stop now. Pictured here is Satya, Kenyan woman, alleged victim, holding her then 9-month-old baby girl, Regina, on August 14, 2003. She and other women waited outside the British High Commission, the embassy offices in Nairobi, urging the British government to pay for the cost of raising their mixed-race children. Some 50 women and their 60 children were led by London lawyer Martin Day, where they presented their petition to the High Commissioner. They ought to pay for it, all right, not just in terms of financial support. This is sick. This is, in my view, a true crime against humanity.
With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show.
CNN reports that many Kenyan women claim they were sexually violated by troops from the unit, and other mothers struggle to take care of their children whose British fathers haven't provided any child support. What's even more concerning is that the UK government hasn't made any efforts to hold the soldiers accountable for their actions, according to the Kenyan National Commission on Human Rights. Lana Blackstar with the details here. And you know they could find out, right? When you're in the military, I can make you take a DNA test. I can figure out what went down here. There's all kinds of things I can do, unless you want certain individuals to remain unknown and part of your military. CNN's Larry McDowell sat down with Marion Matuji, a commissioner for the Kenyan National Commission on Human Rights, who had this to say about the children's predicament and the UK response. Listen.
The Kenyan National Commission on Human Rights says the UK government has made no effort to hold soldiers accountable in such cases.
These children really deserve British citizenship. They're British kids. Their fathers were British.
So the British government is just not interested in resolving these cases?
We don't think they are interested. We call it BBBB, British boys behaving badly. We have also had cases where these women and people who have reported have been intimidated. So there is a conspiracy to make sure that justice does not happen for these women.
This is sick, right? We can figure this out in 10 seconds. We don't need Maury Povich to go over there. We can figure out who fathered whom in about 10 seconds here. British boys behaving badly, with all due respect. I get it. Doesn't begin to cover it. British boys perhaps behaving violently and criminally. British boys perhaps what we're talking about here. Behaving badly is drinking a nasty warm pint and then showing your butt in the middle of town. Not this. Britain pays Kenya around $400,000 annually to let its soldiers train in the wildlife conservancies of Laikipia and Samburu, CNN reported. Despite local opposition, Kenya renewed the defense pact in 2021. BATUK maintains a permanent base in Nanyuki with 100 full-time staff. For $400,000? I'd have to pull that lease. That's disgusting too. $400,000. Really? 17-year-old Marion Kanalasi lives alone in Archer's Post, a small town 200 miles north of Nairobi. She is one of the many children left behind. Kanalasi told Madawao she feels ostracized due to her being light-skinned and living in a place where it's rare to see mixed-race people. She is a symbol. She's marked. That's sad. Watch this.
She's just 17, but Marian lives alone in this single-room house, a mixed-race girl in rural Kenya where nobody looks like her.
They actually call me poor white girl. I don't know why they call me poor white girl. They always say, why are you here? Just look for a connection that you will go to your own people. You don't belong in here.
Marian's mother, Lydia Juma, was among hundreds of women who accused soldiers from the British Army Training Unit Kenya, BATUK, of. She was interviewed in this 2011 documentary.
Because in our tribe, we can't report that thing. It's a big shame. If you go and say that you have been.
Lydia Juma died 2 years after that interview, and Marian has never met her father. She has to fend for herself in a society that ostracizes her.
You have not lost hope of finding your father someday?
No, I've never lost hope.
You know, we can talk about colorism and this and that. When you look much different than the rest of your community, your village, when your crown, which is coveted, is not the same as beautiful crowns over there. Your mother's dead and your father doesn't have the decency to go back and see what perhaps has been left behind. That's a tough road ahead. One woman, Generica Namoru, who had consensual relations with a soldier, has even been left without any aid to take care of their child. Here we are.
Mixed-race children keep being born in the remote villages where the British Army trains in Kenya. Generica Namoru says she was in a consensual relationship with a British soldier while she worked at their base, but she claims he has never supported her since she gave birth.
I'm a woman with a white child. It's not easy for my family, especially because a child is expensive. She's suffering for no good reason.
So you just want him to take responsibility for his daughter?
Yeah, nothing else. For him, I want him to take care of the education, health.
Have you ever received a cent from him since she was born?
I've never received any cent.
Generica is jobless and says she has unsuccessfully tried to petition local authorities and the British Army to find her ex-boyfriend. The British High Commission told CNN it cooperates with local child support authorities in paternity claims.
What on earth was that gibberish the reporter was passing along? They cooperate. First, they've got to be identified. That is perhaps a consensual relationship. But what about the others? Who do I sue? John Doe, number 20. This is pathetic. Look at your life. Great Britain. Accusations against British troops in Kenya, including murder, date back to the 1950s. One chilling case from 2012, a 21-year-old woman disappeared after allegedly entering a hotel with British troops. Her body was later found in a septic tank. But the soldier identified by his peers as the suspected murderer has never faced trial. Don't ever lecture the rest of the world. Don't talk to another person about what should and should not be, what is moral, if you can't take care of your own issues. Despite sexual violation allegations by 2,187 Kenyan women in 2007, that number, UK Defense Ministry dismissed the claim, stating there was, quote, no reliable evidence to support any single allegation. This is getting disgusting. Royal Military police investigators deem the Kenyan evidence is fabricated without conducting DNA tests on any children born to the alleged victims. Disgusting. Who else fathered these mixed race children? Call it all the way out. Meanwhile, some women testified in 2009 that they were preyed on by British soldiers during their daily chores. Kenya's Truth, Justice, and Reconciliation Commission claims the government lost the case files. 2009 report noted the most horrific allegation of sexual violation is said to have occurred in October 1997 at Archer's Post, where 30 women were gang violated by British soldiers, often at knife point and sometimes inside the victim's own Manyatta's compound. That's the CNN report. And a Black Star filling in the details for us. Recent clause now allows British soldiers to be sued in Kenyan courts. It means many of these women may finally have their day in court. Under Kenyan law, human rights violations have no statute of limitations, potentially enabling compensation for decades-old sexual victims. Lawyer Kelvin Kubai, who has represented alleged victims and seeking to reopen sexual violation charges against BATUK troops involving over 300 women, stating to CNN, the Kenyan legal system offers a better redress than what is available in the UK. We can win because we have a very progressive constitution. He spoke with CNN's Madawo further.
Lawyer Kelvin Kubai is working to reintroduce the case in Kenyan courts. 17-year-old Marian will be the lead plaintiff, taking up a fight her mother didn't win in her lifetime.
It is traumatic and it's psychologically disturbing to people like Marion and many others who continue to see the British training amidst them with all these unresolved trauma and historical injustices.
You're not really shedding the colonizer tag anytime soon unless you take care of this. This is what we're talking about here, the worst of it. Madawo also highlighted on X a fundraiser to help the children in Kenya with education and legal bills, which exceeded its original goal in less than 48 hours. So its goal was extended to help cover legal fees too. That goal has been met as well. I know if these British troops won't do the right thing, we'll just go to charity. We'll ask other well-intentioned souls to help out here. I want the court cases to go forward, Yasmin, but I want sexual charges brought. But I then suspect a government who's turned a blind eye on credible allegations, they're not going to recognize any of this. They're not going to allow soldiers to be brought back, these troop members to be rightfully accused in the jurisdiction where these acts allegedly took place. This is disgusting, and it needs to be pumped out everywhere so people understand this is who you are until you clear it up.
Yeah, exactly. He talked about historical injustices in one of the videos we saw. This goes back to the last story a little bit as far as getting past the binary of the oppressor versus the oppressed. We will not get past that until there is some kind of accountability for past actions. And as we're seeing with this story, these past oppressive actions are still very much happening today. They're not past at all. They're present. They're still happening. And why wouldn't they when there hasn't been any kind of meaningful accountability for similar actions in the past? You can't have the people benefiting from past and present oppressive forces telling the people who are victimized by them to just get over it. And one of the first questions I had with all of this is, why are the British training in Kenya in the first place? They have a permanent training support force in Kenya, and they've been there since Kenya won its independence from the UK in 1963. This is a thing that you see all over the world. The British like to maintain control of their colonies, even as they become former colonies. And apparently they're somewhat helpful in Kenya. They comprise an important component of the Kenyan economy, and they're supposed to help defend against terrorist activity in the country, but they have also damaged the local ecosystem. In one incident, they're alleged to have leached white phosphorus from their training base, which contributed to a fire that burned through like thousands of acres of forest and a conservancy, and it contributed to a loss of farmland. And the British confirmed and defended their use of white phosphorus during their training, but they also denied responsibility for the damage that was done. for those thousands of acres of forest that was lost. And then there's this, of course, the soldiers from foreign lands, former colonizers, don't respect the place that they once colonized or the people that they once subjected. And of course, the onus is now on the victims to figure out how they're going to cope, not with what's happened to them, but with what's been done to them. And that's where we are today.
I wish the international body could be called upon here and get involved here. This is a crime against humanity. And maybe I'm overusing that, but I don't know what else you would call it. You have left fatherless children, the product of accused rape, and it's sick that we're not talking, yes, I raised the horrific event of the 1950s, 2007, 2012. It's still going on. This is still going on. And you are so right, Yasmin. They don't value Black and brown people. They don't value mixed race children that seems to be created by these troops and their violence, their sexual violence. We're having a field day over here. This is our sexually violent vacation. They've got to be kicked out of that country. But can they be? And again, $400,000 annually for you to come in, utilize what you're using, including the resources of the land, and of course, the people. That is a crime, in my view. I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, I think especially whenever you consider how many places the British have colonized, not just the British, let's say European countries have colonized, there are still so many repercussions. It wasn't that long ago. 1963 was not that long ago. The country where my parents come from, they also got their independence in the 1960s. A lot of the Caribbean got their independence in the 1960s or 50s. And these are still very real wounds that people are dealing with today. And I mean, then there's the whole issue with the colorism that you mentioned, but that is a real thing, because what ends up happening is you have like these little mini diaspora communities within already weird diaspora communities, right? And this is all just like displacement, cultural displacement that has been put on people, on entire generations of people, just because of something as vile as colonization, and in some cases slavery and things like that, other kinds of oppression. It's really hard because the same people who we expect to hold them accountable are the same people who are perpetuating these types of things and telling all these other people around the world, around the globe, to just get over what we did to you. So
right. King and Queen of the Netherlands was just here in Atlanta. They wanted to meet with Dr. Bernice King. They wanted to apologize for slavery, their role, colonization, which I can think of a way that you can handle that. There's talk of reparations, not nearly enough. Appreciate, though, that you're coming forward. We can figure out how it all came to be at another time. But this is sick. So many have not been given reparations for the past. But we are talking about today, folks. This is going on. Something's got to be done. I understand the British monarch is just really a name only, but as a powerful symbol, since Prince William, heir to the throne, said there is no racism, and the royal family's not racist, maybe they'll speak out against this. Yeah, I couldn't get through without smiling. I know. There's a punchline. Harry was right. Meghan was right. Okay. Speak out about it. Camilla, really, you love to talk to the press, leak a statement on reparations.